In this video, I'm going to briefly discuss how you go from a mood board, which you created last week, to a blog header. So first, I'd like to review the types of headers. And just as a reminder, the website header is the top part of the website, which includes the logo, navigation, any advertising, search bar, really anything above the main content of the site. And in this video, when I refer to the header, I'm really talking about the image. The website header is everything above the main content area, but you're going to be creating an image for that section to put on your blog. And you don't yet know which blog design you're going to go with. So I've created a template that has a horizontal image area, and you're going to work in that area. It's okay if the image you come up with is a little smaller than the template area, or not exactly the same shape. You might have to tweak it a little bit later because you are each going to choose your own blog design. So right now you're just coming up with a general idea, kind of a mock-up of what should your header image look like. And last week you created that mood board, and this week you're going to use the design elements from that mood board, the shapes, colors, types, size, texture, to create your header image. And really you have 4 different options. You can use your client's existing logo and create a new header image that has the logo in it. You can tweak the existing logo. Maybe it's not the color you want, or it doesn't have the typeface you want, and you can make changes to that logo and then create a new header image that includes that logo and some other design elements. You can create a header image that doesn't need a logo, or you could create a new logo completely and use that as your header image. So let's look at a few different examples of those choices. If you want to use your existing logo and create a new header, you can do something like what Riley Hospital for Children uses. Their website in the first image has their logo prominently displayed. Their blog header is called Riley Connections, and the design is this Riley Connections in a bold and then regular typeface with a yellow background, and then you have the logo over to the right of that. And just to be clear, you're creating a logo or header image, and so in all of these examples I've outlined the image area in orange. So one question I've gotten before is, do I need to put a place for the search bar? Do I need to put the navigation? You just need to make the image. So in all of these examples, I'll highlight just the image, which is what you're going to be making this week. Now you can use the existing logo and create a new header around it. So in this example, the website for Coca-Cola obviously uses the Coca-Cola logo, but on their blog, the logo is displayed smaller and off to the side, and the blog is called Unbottled, and there's much more dominant design that takes over, and the logo is sort of secondary to that. And again, these are the live image areas for these 2 header images. And then you can tweak your existing logo and make a header out of it. And so here's an example. The logo for Aquarium of the Pacific has been deconstructed and moved around. And then there's been this image or texture of water placed behind it, and then a signature type behind that as well. So this is another option, and then this is the image area. Now this would not include, if you were making this image, if you were designing this in Illustrator or InDesign or Photoshop, you would not include these buttons and the buy tickets now. That would come in later. You would just be making that background of water and then putting the Aquarium of the Pacific wording over it. Another example of tweaking the existing logo and making a header. So this is the Carnegie Mellon University website above. Their logo is sort of more vertical, and this is their blog header where they've adapted the logo. Very similar to We Are IU, Carnegie Mellon University has a site that's set up kind of like a blog that's really a resource for undergraduate students, and you can see that they've used the logo, but they've pulled it out to be more horizontal, and they've made this sort of ribbon or flag design around it. So that's another option, is for you to use the logo in a little bit of a different way, but kind of add your own element to it. And then these are the live image areas. Or you could create a header that doesn't need the logo. The MTV Movies blog is a good example. This header image doesn't actually use the MTV logo. It does say MTV, but it doesn't use the logo. So this is another option that you can go with. And another example of creating a header that doesn't use the logo. The We Are IU website doesn't actually use the IU logo. It's very similar in look and feel to the IU site. It uses the same color, uses similar typography, but it doesn't actually use the logo. So here's another example of using design elements that you've put in your mood board to create a header without necessarily using the logo. And again, these are the live image areas. Now, if you really don't like your client's current logo, or it has nothing in common with the mood board that you've created, you could just make a header that doesn't use the logo. That's totally fine. You could write your client's name out in text, as in the MTV example. But if you do want to use the logo, if you're pretty set on using the logo, but you're not quite in love with the one that they have, it doesn't quite fit your mood board, you can always make some changes to it or make a new one and use that as the header. So you have some options for this assignment. Now I want to be a little bit more specific about kind of how you go from a mood board to a blog header. How do you go from a collection of images to an original design? And I have some techniques and suggestions. First, consider the shapes, textures, patterns, etc. that you've chosen. What do they suggest? What do they have in common? When you sort of squint and look at that mood board, what jumps out at you? You don't need to use everything you've put in the mood board. It's totally fine to cut some things out, or to have some things that you try in some logo ideas, but then don't try in others. That's okay. You don't have to use everything. Try creating a concept. You looked at the Vera Bradley blog and you saw that the concept of that blog header was a sort of behind the scenes in the sewing room concept. You could do something similar for your blog as well. Come up with a concept that's based on the mood board and then pull in some of the colors from the mood board, some of the type from the mood board. My best suggestion is really just to keep it simple. Try using just type in your logo. For this assignment, for your assignment this week, you're going to create 3 logo ideas, and then you're going to create variations of each one. And the 3 logo ideas should be completely different. For one of them, I would definitely suggest just trying to use type and your logo and trying to make that work. Keeping it simple is really great for the web. So this is an exercise in creative interpretation. I'm not looking for your ability to take everything from your mood board and cram it literally into your logo. I'm looking for you to create a logo that when I hold it up to your mood board, I can kind of see the inspiration. So you don't have to use everything from your mood board. You don't want to try and cram all of that in to this logo or header image that you make. I should just be able to see that what you've created is similar to and based on the mood board. Another technique would be to create a name for your blog or your site. Your blog, you don't necessarily have to think about your blog as a blog. You can think about it as a resource. We Are IU is a good example. It's a blog, but really it's got a lot of good resource links on it and a lot of good information that can be used for that would be useful to students who are applying to IU. The Carnegie Mellon blog really doesn't look like a blog. It's set up like a resource. If you're applying for undergraduate admission there, you can go to that site and there's lots of helpful hints and articles that will help you. So it doesn't necessarily look bloggy in that sort of traditional sense where it has lots of personality and it's got lots of articles that are constantly being posted. So try creating a name for your resource site or your blog and go from there. And I want to show you an example, and I'm going to use a brand called Rescue, which is a, I'm not quite sure how to describe it. It's like a animal shelter software that helps shelters track animals so that they can help find them homes. So the audience would be shelter directors and staff who are typically female would be the buyers who would buy the Rescue platform and use it in the shelter to keep track of the animals that come in and out. And the brand personality is humble, fun, creative, trustworthy, charitable, reliable. You know, the personality is the same personality as someone who does animal rescue work, someone who really cares about animals, wants to see all animals have a good home. The primary message is that Rescue is a really reliable ally in the fight to save lives. You know, we at Rescue understand that shelter directors are really busy. They don't have time to learn new software. They don't have time to fiddle around with, you know, using computer databases to enter in animal information. They need something really quick and easy that's also going to help them find homes, and that's what we offer. Secondary messages, easy to learn, easy to use. Rescue integrates with social media, and a major adoption listing site. So as you put animal pictures into the system, you can publish those online to look for potential adopters, and it's very reliable. This is the mood board that I created, and now this is not up to the standards of this class. You had to create 10. I was able to fit 7 on here, but I have the logo, I have a photo with colors and textures I think are appropriate, some shapes I think are appropriate. I made sure to put not color on pink because I don't think pink works here, but I like the texture of the canvas. I think that sort of reminds me of dog toys and dog beds and things like that, and the circles kind of remind me of the spots of a dog, so I think those would be appropriate. So my next step was to create 3 alternatives, and this screenshot is of the logo template that you're being provided this week, and you'll see I didn't use all of the space. In the bottom one I used all of the space for that image. In the top one I didn't think my image needed to be that big, so I just didn't use all the space. But these are my 3 ideas, and you'll see that they're all pretty different. One has the logo and then just the word blog, so very simple. I just put the logo and then I put the word blog. Dog blog, I gave a name to my blog, and then I put, by rescue, and then the last one, rescue resources. So I've moved the logo around a little bit, and in fact, if I didn't want to use the logo, I could do something very similar, like maybe put a paw print right here and write rescue in a different typeface. So you can see I've pulled some of these things out of the mood board. If I go back to the mood board, you'll see the color, the type, the textures come from this mood board. And then my next step after creating these alternatives is to push myself to try different things with each one. A lot of people think that creativity is something that you just have or you don't have, but a lot of times creativity comes out of finding connections between things and out of trying different combinations and trying different things. So in this exercise for class, what you're going to do is you're going to create 3 alternative designs, 3 completely different ideas that are sort of, presented in different ways. So one of mine has the logo, one in just type, one has a whole new name for the blog, one has a whole new name and a background image, and then I'm just gonna go through and push myself to change each one a little bit. So all I did was I literally copied this, pasted it over here, and changed one thing. So I changed blog from orange to brown. And then I copied this and I pasted it down here and I changed one thing. I changed blog back to orange and changed it to a different typeface. And then I copied this, pasted it here, and I changed one thing, which is to change the typeface. And so you can see the progression. I'm just sort of copying and pasting previous ideas and changing one thing. So this blue example is the same as the orange example, but the color is different. This example right here is the same as this, except the color is different, and I made the face of the dog a little transparent. So you can see that I'm not really putting too much thought into these variations. You're looking for quantity over quality. Copy, paste, change one thing. Copy, paste, change one thing. As you start to do more and more logo design, you start to be able to sort of think of these in your head, and you don't necessarily have to make them all. But when you're first starting out, it's really helpful to just make a lot of different things, show a lot of ideas. Push yourself by making yourself sort of record the process, copy, paste, change, copy, paste, change. And the result of this is that when you are done with this process, you have dozens of ideas to choose from. And you don't want to present all of those ideas to the client because it can be very overwhelming, but it gives you a lot of different things to choose from. Maybe pick 2 or 3 and show those to the client. And if the client doesn't like the 2 or 3 you picked, you can go back and pick 2 or 3 different ones without having to do any extra work. So recording the process and sort of showing copy, paste, change, not only pushes you to try new things with your design, but it also gives you a repository of ideas to go back to later if you need to change something. And so when you're done with all of this, what you're going to do is you're going to select the best of the ones that I've made here. I think this is the simplest. I think it's fits with my mood board. It gives across the message that I want. I do really like this typeface that looks like handwriting, but I have to be reliable. I need to show that I'm a reliable source, and so I thought this typeface was a little bit more reliable looking than some of the other ones. So this week what you're going to do is you're going to create those 3 alternatives, and then you're going to create all of the variations. And please don't panic about the variations. I know it looks like there's a lot to do, but you're really just copying and pasting, and then changing one thing. And you don't need to put that much thought into it, which I think is kind of counterintuitive. You probably aren't used to an instructor saying, don't think about it too much. But when you're doing all of these variations, it's important that you just try new things, and it's okay if some of them fail. This one right here, rescue with the blue, I think it looks awful, but I tried it and that helped me see it didn't work, and so I stopped exploring that idea and I started exploring other ideas. So you're looking for quantity over quality. You want quality with your 3 original, and then quantity with the rest, and then narrow down to the best of the whole bunch, and you'll always have a fallback if you need it. If you have any questions about what you're doing this week, lastly, what you're doing when you copy, paste, change is you want to try different colors, shapes, arrangements, backgrounds, and transparencies. So you'll see I've tried different fonts, I've tried different colors on all of these, I've tried different transparencies. For example, in this dog blog, I changed the paw print to be kind of clear, so it has a little bit of a different look to it. And then I tried different arrangements. I got sick of the paw print, so I put the little face in instead. Some of these are really they're really simple. I'm just moving things around. So, between these 2, I've just kind of moved by rescue down to the corner. So you want to try different colors, shapes, arrangement, backgrounds, transparencies, and actually I'm going to add on there typefaces. Now, if you have any questions about the assignment, or you want me to look at what you're working on to see if you're going in the right direction, I would be glad to answer your questions or to take a look. And I look forward to seeing your alternatives and all of the variations.